This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of June 7th, 2021. I'll be honest with you, a lot of crazy-making aspects are occurring this week. There's a lot of energy in the air that will make you question your sanity or the sanity of quite a number of other people. It's loud. It's just plain nuts. But you know what? It can also be really fun. Perspective is so much of it. The big event this week is the next to last eclipse in the Gemini-Sagittarius cycle that we've been in since last summer. And this cycle has an awful lot to do with what goes on in our minds. The stories we tell ourselves, our information sources, the words that go in and out, the beliefs and the systems of thought that we build, laws, for example, prejudices, for example, and most importantly, the on-the-ground impact of all of that. Last month's lunar eclipse was a dumping out moment for philosophies and beliefs that don't really need to come along for the ride anymore. Lots of bridge torpedoing occurred from that. And now this week we have forward ho, sort of, with the new moon on the 10th in the sign of Gemini, ruled by Mercury, which is retrograde and smack in the middle of the new moon, aka the eclipse. Mercury's retrograde status and his placement in the middle of this event bring a terrific retrospective streak into all of the new moon resets and reboots that are going on. A Mercury retrograde always brings old issues back around again. You have the opportunity sometimes to have do-overs, to think things over, to see stuff you didn't see before, get pieces of information you overlooked, to change agreements and assumptions. Not a great time for making new agreements, this one especially not, for a reason I'll get into in a second, but a really good time to revisit things from the past. And you will probably find people from the past popping up as well. They may be in your thoughts, they may be in your memories, you may hear people talking about them, you may actually have real contact with them. And it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be in your life for a long period of time, but important pieces of information can come. You can clear up misunderstandings, all kinds of stuff. This particular new moon, which in theory is a start, which because it's a solar eclipse is a reset and dramatic start, may not feel like things are starting. There may be a terrific lack of clarity and precision about exactly what is unrolling or exactly what you're hearing. Your thoughts may be really cloudy, and it's not necessarily because of what you've been through for the past year and a half, although Lord knows that is an ongoing factor. This solar eclipse is squaring Neptune, cosmic fog machine. Mercury retrograde squaring Neptune, cosmic fog machine. This adds a real unhinged tint to everything, and it underscores, ups, amplifies the sensation of dual realities, bifurcated realities, dual narratives running side by side, people in the same family saying and believing completely different things. People in the same neighborhood, people in the same country, saying and believing completely different things. This event brings that sensation to a head. It hits critical mass, and it will start dying back after this event. So we're sailing into the foggiest part of it. It could be bumpy to navigate. There are some other factors going on that could make the breakdown aspect of a Mercury retrograde more than normal because Saturn and Uranus are moving into their second of 3 squares as the eclipse is happening. It won't be exact until next week, but we're going to be feeling it. So technology is going to live by its own rules. Devices, systems, programming, machines that are unstable or have flaws will get tested, will get banged, things are going to go fluey. Just keep that in mind. Program for it in your thinking, and especially in conversations. I urge you, and it's going to be hard to do this, not to assume you know what the other person means, not to assume you know what someone else is talking about, not to assume much of anything. And the memory that comes to mind for this is from my first week in college when I found myself in conversations for hours with a guy I had gone to high school with, and I was unaware that he had the social capabilities of carrying on a conversation. And we had long, long, long conversations sitting in the grass, backs against a brick wall until curfew. Yes, it was those days. And he later became a philosophy major and did something in those conversations I had never heard before, and I encourage you to adopt it this week. And that was repeatedly saying, define your terms. We would discuss something, we would start to talk about something, he would stop and say, define your terms. So he knew what I was talking about and could then have a much more knowledgeable conversation. So know that it's going to be loud, it's going to be boisterous, there will be data and information and conversations coming at you from more directions than you ever thought possible in your life. Multitasking more necessary than even those of us who are great jugglers have normally had to do. And then it really gets fun. And I'm not being sarcastic. On the 11th, Mars, which rules our drive and how we push ourselves forward, enters the sign of Leo. Grandiose, full of flair, dramatic, willing to take bold, attention-getting action, outgoing, gregarious, maybe a little flamboyant, maybe a little overboard, but definitely having fun with whatever it is you're doing, playful. And then as the Saturn-Uranus square is moving into its second occurrence on the eve of it, on the 13th, Venus interacts with both of those planets. Venus, ruler of our social mode, currently in the sign of Cancer, which is, I will show my love by making food for you, which you also show yourself. So time in the kitchen, time at home, appreciation of comfort food, wanting to hug small animals and soft toys and hold babies and be with people that you care about. Venus opens a door or a window to change, to innovation, to breakthroughs in how we're experiencing resources, how we are experiencing something having to do with money or the physicality of existence or creativity or even relationships, love. And she makes an adjustment aspect to Saturn, responsibility, commitment, the rules. So she's in a let's do something different, hoo-hoo, fun opportunity aspect for the guy who's advocating for the different, unconventional, innovative way on the side of the new. And she's making or brokering adjustments with the side of the old ways of stodginess, of commitment, of security, of doing what you've always done. This all adds up to a highly active week. Mind's active, mouth's active, social media active, the news active, lots of interaction with lots of people, each of us instigating a lot of it with that Mars and Leo, and getting our hearts, desires, money, creativity, relationships lined up and working with whatever the next big collision of old versus new ends up being when Saturn squares Uranus for the second time on the 14th. Homing thought of the week: it's all just information. Song of the week, I have two. One really old one, Everybody's Talking by Nielsen, and She Talks to Angels by the Black Crowes. And the image of the week is the cyclone in The Wizard of Oz. You'll find a lot more about all this in my forecast for the Gemini new moon solar eclipse, which is already up at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, where you can sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me. I also have a lot of information in my Mercury Madness conversation with Donna Woodwell on Celestial Compass. The link is below. And speaking of that, I have a Celestial Compass episode this week on Om Times Radio, 5 o'clock Eastern Time on the first and third Mondays of every month. I host lively conversation on Facebook at Empowerment Unlimited and the group The Astro-Insight Lounge. Lots of bonus content on patreon.com/Kathy Biehl. And I'm really grateful to the people who are supporting my work there. I post on Instagram at @KABiehl and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian Channel. Talk to you next week.